Hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to Born to React. Let's get it.
Today, we're going to be reacting to Pizzagate. I'm not sure if you guys are living under a rock, but a lot of the Epstein files were released, about 300 or 3 million documents. And I seen this meme on one of my friends' Facebook, and it was pretty hilarious, especially because first they think he's not in the Epstein files, which they have not clearly went through, and the fact that it says Happy Black History Month. Dude is African, and he's only half African. He's not black, so that's one thing that irritates me. But um, yeah, we're gonna get into Pizzagate, and a lot of people don't understand how Obama ties into Pizzagate. But I think through if you watch this video, by the end of it, you'll kind of understand how he's one of them. He's just brown. He was just the first brown president, but he's just like one of them. So let's get into this video with from one reporter. It shows him 10 years prior to the Epstein files recently being released and Pizzagate being now such a mainstream topic. So let's check this out.
Well, Pizzagate. It became a major story weeks ago when an armed man decided to investigate a D.C. area pizza place for himself. This man right here, he carried a rifle into a pizza parlor and then fired it at the floor. Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news. But what does that even mean? I spent the last month investigating. So what exactly is Pizzagate? And are there any actual facts to support the story? I've got to warn you, what we're going to talk about tonight will be disturbing to some people. But this is a reality check you won't see anywhere else. Pizzagate actually comes from the WikiLeaks release of hacked emails from Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. In all, WikiLeaks dumped around 50,000 email messages, and it was from those emails that the claims that John Podesta may be part of a child sex trafficking ring come from. Now, to be clear, not one single email in the Podesta emails discusses child sex trafficking or pedophilia. That is a fact. But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Self-described online investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles. So how did a DC pizza parlor get pulled into the story? Well, again, read any mainstream report and they indicate that Comet Ping Pong Pizza was somehow linked to this fake story and has no relation to anyone involved. But the truth is that's not true either. What media is ignoring is that the Comet Ping Pong Pizza place is actually referenced in the Podesta emails at least a dozen or so times, and that the owner of that place, James Alfantis, is a friend of John Podesta. He was actually named, this is kind of strange, by GQ magazine as one of the top 50 most powerful people in Washington. Yes, we're talking about a pizza parlor owner. Now let's talk facts here. There is no solid evidence that Comet Ping Pong Pizza is being used to run a child sex trafficking ring. But there are some very strange connections between Comet Ping Pong Pizza and a second pizza place 2 doors over, Besta Pizza, and the accusations of pedophilia. Now this is where things start to get strange when you research this story. Now to begin, I need to show you a 2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children. I want you to see these images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly, you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover.
That is insane. That is insane, and they just put it in your face like that. You know what I'm saying? Like images like this should not be classified or anything like that. I understand these are unclassified, but these are in 2007. This is a 2007 unclassified report. So how long did they have these symbols and things like this should be made mainstream for all parents to know? You know what I'm saying? There's no way we should be going into a pizza place supporting a business that has this type of logo on it, and a man has to do something so drastic to get attention to that business. It's insane.
Image. Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They've removed the triangle. Also, Comet Ping Pong, owned by Alfantis, is the place where a number of performance artists perform regularly. Two of the groups that perform there, who you can see advertised, by the way, on this Comet Ping Pong poster, include a group called Heavy Breathing and another group called Sex Stains. Well, if you check out the YouTube videos by these bands, Heavy Breathing has songs that do joke about pedophilia, and the band Sex Stains has a video that includes, and you see it right there,
It's bro. At this point, we should know all these symbols and go through all of the music videos for the last what 50 years coming out of Hollywood. Like, bro, this is crazy, man. The symbolism is right in your face, and a lot of people are blind. You guys remember when Sounds of Freedom came out? The left claimed that the right had were dads with brainworms. We were just making things up. You know what I'm saying? But now they're pushing for the Epstein files to come out when that entire movie was pretty much based on it. You know what I mean? It's weird.
that same boy lover symbol. It's nearly identical to the one that the FBI does say is a pedophile code symbol for boy love. As I said, there are some strange things there. As for the owner of the pizza place, James Alfantis, well, he was one time in a relationship with David Brock, who ran Media Matters for America. Well, since Pizzagate began to blow up online, he has made his Instagram profile, Jimmy Comet, private. But an archive search of Instagram reveals a number of strange photographs and words with strange and disturbing images associated with them. Look, to the point where we can't show you those pictures. We're not even going to describe them to you because some viewers would find it too disturbing to share on TV. Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago. He was referred to by the judge as a serial
15 months. Bro, that's insane. That's honestly, if someone like at this point, if prison justice, you know what I mean? Like once they get in there, they general population, get these people off the streets. These persons shouldn't be able to come back out. You know what I mean? This is crazy.
child molester. According to the Washington Post, visitors to Tony Podesta's home in Falls Church got an eyeful when they walked into a bedroom at the Podesta residence hung with multiple color pictures by Katie Grannon, a photographer known for documentary-style pictures of naked teenagers in their parents' suburban homes. And to be clear, that just begins to scratch the surface of how strange some of this stuff is. And bear in mind, we can't get into a lot of the real details of it because of the limits on broadcasting this on television. But it is some very strange stuff. Now keep in mind, again, there is no proof here that there is a child sex ring being operated out of a DC pizza parlor. Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this. Not from local police, not from the FBI, no one. And that has to be the big question. Not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place?
That's a serious question. But that was 10 years ago. So with the whole Epstein files being released, this guy, after this segment aired, apparently he lost everything. He was signed to a different type of duties. This segment was never brought up again. So after all of this, he's pretty much been vindicated. You know, he was right. The network that he was a part of that shelved this story basically was in the wrong. He was right, they were wrong, and he's being vindicated with these files being released. So now let's hear what he has to say.
Is Epstein is Pizzagate. Let that sink in for a minute. Jeffrey Epstein is Pizzagate. 10 years ago, Pizzagate was by far the #1 trending topic on Twitter. But the claim of pedophile elites who preyed on children was so insane that Pizzagate was shrugged off as a wild fever dream of a conspiracy theory. I was the first mainstream reporter to dare give the facts surrounding Pizzagate. My corporate career was destroyed over it, so what? My professional reputation was obliterated, that wasn't fun. And I wasn't the only one. Anyone who dared to suggest that this might be true was blacklisted, shadow banned, or thrown off of social media. But then, just days ago, the largest dump of Epstein files revealed what some of us have been telling you for a decade, that Pizzagate is real. Not that there is a pizza parlor at the center of a child trafficking ring, but that child trafficking rings, run by some of the most powerful people in the world, do exist. Tonight, I want to remind you of what I told you then and compare that to what we have now learned. Well, the story that came to be known as Pizzagate did not begin with a rumor, nor was it created by Macedonian sheep farmers, as CNN actually once claimed. It began with WikiLeaks, authentic, verified emails taken from the phone of the chairman of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, John Podesta.
Well, that says a lot to me. If you're putting two and two together, this is around the time that Trump was running for his first term. And what were they screaming in front of our face? Instead of putting this in front of us, which would have been a major story that would have caught everyone's attention. It wouldn't have been left or right. Everybody who was a parent would have gravitated to this story, especially back then before everybody was brainwashed into this LGBTQ crap. Thinking men can be girls and girls can be men, cutting off children's private parts and just child mutilation, pretty much. But at that point in 2016, you would have had millions of eyes on this story. You wouldn't have been able to push any other narrative. And if it would have been tied to Hillary Clinton, it would have been a blowout when it came to the presidential campaign. But what happened? Hillary Clinton is just the wife of Bill Clinton, who was named and photographed all throughout the Epstein files. So if this dude John Podesta, her campaign chairman, was allegedly involved with this same circle, don't you think her husband and the media wouldn't run cover for her just to push this away from the Clintons because of the history of the scandals that's gone on in that family? So instead of making this story a #1 topic in America, they pushed Russiagate, which we now know was false.
These years, by the way, no one has actually disputed that. Inside those emails were communications that struck a lot of people, not just online commentators, but researchers and former law enforcement, as unusual to say the least. References to pizza, and to pizza handkerchiefs, and to maps, to private gatherings involving powerful people, some very bizarre stuff. In fact, the first people to draw attention to those emails were a group of self-proclaimed pedophiles on 4chan and 8chan who claimed the Podesta was using the same terminology that they use to speak in coded language. And in researching those emails, I found a 2010 entry into Urban Dictionary. It's still there, by the way. It confirms that cheese pizza is a commonly coded term for child pornography, CP. I want you to see.
That is freaking great, bro. Oh my God, this is so disgusting.
These images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly, you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover image. Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They've removed the triangle.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I was called a dangerous conspiracy theorist and a madman for claiming that pedophiles and possibly even pedophile elites might use coded language, even though it was online pedophiles who said that's exactly what they do. Which brings us back to this new Epstein release, because in it, the word pizza is mentioned 911 times. That's right, 911 times adults are emailing back and forth about slices of pizza and about pizza parties. And the word pizza is often paired with grape soda in bizarre contexts within emails addressed to Epstein by individuals whose names have been mostly redacted. So here's one. Quote, "This is better than a Chinese cookie. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand." Or this one. "Mr. Epstein would like to see the menu from the pizza place. Could someone send it, please?" Or this one from 2014. "Sit down, because I know you won't believe this. Are you sitting? Jeffrey says he wants to go out to a pizza place with you. He did not mention a particular pizza place, but he knows you are in the know on this."
These people are demonic. All of these people's names should be public. I don't give a damn. I'm a Trump supporter, but hell nah. These people's names need to be publicized. Period, point blank. Publicize these people's names. Because at this point, if we can see what pizza means, what all these coded words mean, if pedophiles are coming out saying that, this is what, or PDF files, whatever, YouTube, whatever I need to say for YouTube, but if these people are coming out saying that these words, that their terminology is similar, this should be a top news story. There should be nothing else. We shouldn't be talking about ICE raids. We shouldn't be talking about immigration. We shouldn't be talking about any of that. We should be talking about protecting our children. Even though one political party seems to not care about children. You know, they allowed 300,000 kids to go missing over the last 4 years with Biden in office. But at some point, someone with a heart in mainstream media, left, right, or center, needs to come out and say something. This needs to be an everyday story, continuously talked about. If they don't want you to talk about it, get fired for it, and then we know whose side they're really on. But
A little winking emoji. All of the emails that I just shared with you were from 2014, right about the same time period of the John Podesta emails that WikiLeaks published. 2014 winking emoji. About the same time period of the John Podesta emails that WikiLeaks published and started the entire Pizzagate saga.
Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago.
Yeah, well, speaking of the Podesta brothers, again, there was no direct evidence of them being involved in child sex trafficking from those emails. But as we pointed out at the time, there was a lot of bizarre communication, including an email from John Podesta to his brother Tony. The subject line, "Last night was fun," and the first line reads, "Still in torture chamber." That email got really no attention 10 years ago, but today, a 2009 email from Jeffrey Epstein is getting a lot of attention, as it asks, "Where are you? You okay? I love the torture video."
To the fallout from the latest release of the Jeffrey Epstein documents, they include communications between the rich and powerful, from the co-owner of an NFL team to billionaires like Elon Musk.
CNN teams are carefully sifting through the largest, and what the Justice Department says is the last, batch of Jeffrey Epstein files.
Friday's release of millions of...
Notice how they, bring up Elon Musk. They never bring up Obama. And I'm going to tie Obama into this because, yeah, Clinton is a weird son of a gun, but Obama was the first black president, and recently, it was right before Trump got in there. So tying Obama to this, in my opinion, allegedly tying him to these files, in my opinion, paints a picture of why they've been going so hard on Trump. You know what I'm saying? because Trump didn't like Obama. You get what I'm saying? He still doesn't like Obama. And this is one of the reasons I believe they went so hard on Trump is because there was things that would have sank their boy. You feel me? But
Pages related to Jeffrey Epstein provided a closer look at his connection to world elites from Hollywood to Washington, Wall Street to Buckingham Palace and beyond.
the White House? What are we talking about?
Yeah, well, all those so-called news anchors and their newsrooms for a decade blacklisted this topic. They conditioned you to live in ignorance. They called it a conspiracy. They called me and so many others dangerous for even looking. Well, 10 years later, no investigation ever took place. It's a failure of a complicit government and also of a corporate media that didn't just ignore this evil. They helped to cover it up and keep it operating in the shadows. See, by refusing to engage honestly in 2016, by choosing mockery over investigation, by silencing questions instead of asking them, they created the very environment where this evil could thrive. See, they didn't kill bad information as they pretended. They guaranteed it would survive. See, I wasn't censored the way that I was because my reporting was false. I was censored because it was dangerous. Dangerous to narratives, dangerous to reputations, dangerous to a media culture that had grown comfortable acting as a gatekeeper rather than a watchdog. See, the unspoken rule was simple. Some questions are not allowed. Not because they're wrong, no, but because they lead to the truth. And the truth? Pizzagate, at least in the form of a cabal of elites and powerful people who delight in the physical and sexual abuse of children, is real. Remember how we started. Epstein is Pizzagate. But the other reality it's time to accept, Pizzagate is much more and much bigger than just Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that. Not lying about that. Well, I want to show you guys this email that talked about Obama, and then a video that he had with Kamala Harris talking about Joe Biden's love for pizza and red sauce. I know you guys remember this because this was on the campaign trail. This is when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden first got in office. So they had this broadcasted in front of everybody, talking in code. Look at, when I show you this video, I want you to see Kamala Harris's face. But let's look at this email, or this email, alleged email. So this email was from Fred Burton, and it was to Don. I ain't gonna even try to butcher his name like that. Figure it out if you can figure it out. All right. But the subject, what it says is, I think Obama spent about $65,000 of taxpayer money flying in pizza/dogs from Chicago to the private party at the White House not long ago, assuming we were using the same channels. What? Flying in pizza and dogs? What? It's kind of weird. It says, and then it says to celebrate all the hot dogs out there, whatever this dude's name, you can participate as well. And you might want to know what is hot dogs? What is pizza? What is that? This is the FBI's intelligence bulletin, right? These are the code words that pedophiles use, PDF files use, when they're exploiting children or to stay in code. You know what I'm saying? Pizza is girls, right? Cheese pizza, little girls. Pasta, little boys. All right. Hot dog, boy, right? Then if you let me shrink my head, you see the rest: sauce, orgy, map. You get what I'm saying. So now I want to go through this video of Kamala Harris and Obama talking about Joe Biden's love for his favorite food.
So tell me about Joe and your relationship with Joe, and what do I need to know? Like, what's the thing about the ice cream? He loves ice cream. Tell me about that.
Well, listen, ice cream is big. Pasta with red sauce, he can go deep on that. He really does like those aviator glasses. He knows he looks.
You guys see that? They put this in front of our faces, yo. If you're asleep to this stuff today, it's insane. And I understand, even though your name is, put in the files, doesn't mean you're necessarily guilty of any wrongdoing. It's all allegations at this point. That being said, in my opinion, this guy is guilty. You know what I mean? Try to say he's not in the files. He's named in the files. He doesn't have a connection with him, like email communication with him or anything like that. So close, like Bill, or even how they have pictures with Trump and him, even though it's been well documented that Trump kicked him out of his Mar-a-Lago club for his advancement on a young girl, but sexual advancements on a young girl. But this dude is not clean. He's not clean. Look what he brought this country. He didn't do nothing for the American people. He did something for the LGBTQ community, and it basically infected the minds of this country. And we're still fighting that virus or fighting that mental illness today. But let me know what you guys think. Give me your comments. If you agree, disagree, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good night. Peace.